Welcome to I'm in the Loop, the show where senior members of administration at City Hall answer questions submitted by you, our viewers. Today's guest is Chief Administrative Officer Joe Torlone, who talks about what he hopes the new council will focus on and also touches on some of the major infrastructure issues facing our community. What projects does administration hope council will focus on early in its new term?
Actually, Frank, there's a few of them, and they're not in any particular order, but one of them would be continuing with the projects that have come out of the strategic plan, Timmins 2020, in particular the recommendations for the Parks and Rec, Culture and Tourism Master Plan, and also the affordable housing report as well. Yeah, the other thing, too, is we are going to begin rapidly accelerating our discussions for community preparedness when it comes to the closing of Glencore in a few years and what that really means for the entire community. And finally, if you want to call it a third project, is we need to address the infrastructure deficit the city has, as any other municipality in Ontario has as well.
Okay. Infrastructure, as you just mentioned, being a growing problem for most communities throughout Canada, with both the federal and provincial governments still seemingly unclear as to how much they will assist with upgrades and repairs, etc. Does administration have a long-term infrastructure plan for the city, and is it available to the public?
Yes, we do. We actually have a draft asset management plan that looks at all of our assets, not only just the roads and the pipes, but our buildings, our equipment. And we also have an approved long-range financial plan. A couple of days ago, the new council was orientated to the draft asset management plan. They were orientated to it with respect to its content, the implications, and the impact it's going to have. On December the 8th will be the first public meeting of council. December 1st will be their inaugural meeting, but the actual meeting that they're going to do some business will be December the 8th. And there will be a public presentation of the asset management plan. And on December 15th, we're hoping it will receive approval. So after that time, it will become public. The timeline is kind of tight, and because it's critical, from now on, any applications for government funding must be supported by an approved asset management plan. So it's basically a requirement now for government funding, so we are moving with this rather quickly.
But if the city had an endless pot of gold and could address their infrastructure issues without worrying about costs, what would be the first areas that administration would like to tackle?
Well, Frank, I hope this happens because the first area has to be the connecting link, i.e. Algonquin Boulevard, in particular from Brunette Road to the bridge. What is needed there is a complete reconstruction. We need to put our utilities like telephone and so forth underground, and to upgrade all of our water and sewer lines, road enhancements. To that end, we've kind of moved a little towards that. We're hoping by the beginning of 2015 to come up with an RFP for consulting services for the design and costing of all engineering from Brunette Road to the Matagami Bridge. We recognize on Algonquin Boulevard it would have to be done in stages in order to keep the traffic flowing through the community, because the roads on either side of Algonquin aren't constructed to accommodate that kind of traffic. So if I had a magic wand, that's what I believe should be the project.
Aside from the obvious budgetary constraints, what other factors impact the city's ability to address the different infrastructure upgrades required in different parts of the community?
Well, yeah, that's a great question. One of our greatest problems is our lack of assessment growth. All we have to rely on is the property tax base and whatever money that we can gather from government funding. And historically, our growth has been just under 1%. It's had a couple of blips when the Home Depot and Canadian Tire and the hotels came on the scene, but generally over the last 10 years, we've been less than 1% growth. So we have very few other sources of revenue to generate increased funds. In other communities, for example, Sault Ste. Marie, I believe they receive about a couple of $1 million a year just for having a casino in their community. So that is one of our other things. The other problem we have is simply our geography. The community is spread out so far, and it's very costly for us to service everybody within that long stretch of urbanized area, and it's hard to achieve any cost efficiencies, in particular any economies of scale. So we struggle on that, and we have few options available to us.
And finally, Joe, what are the key strategies being considered by the city to address the realities of our aging infrastructure without having to significantly increase taxes?
Yes, there is. There are some options that council needs to consider under the city's long-range financial plan, which has to do with debt. It also, they have some financial options that are be contained within the asset management plan on how to address the infrastructure deficit. But generally what we need to look at is what is affordable debt and our ability to pay. I hate to say this, but we're going to have to go in debt. That's going to be a long-term debt. That's going to be the only way we're going to be able to address this. But on the other side of the equation, I'm recommending to City Council, and they really haven't got into this yet, is to do what is called a core services review for the municipality. We've got to look at our entire operations, ensure that we are providing the core services that are required under the Municipal Act. And right now I'm at the point of thinking no more, no less. There are maybe some businesses that we are in that we should not be in, and we need to kind of evaluate those and move our human and financial resources into the areas that we're required to provide services for. And lastly, we do it every day, but we need to ramp it up a little bit more, is look for synergies and cost reductions.
That concludes this edition of I'm in the Loop. I'd like to thank our guest, Joe Torlone, and remind all of you to join the Speaking of Timmins Facebook page so that you can submit your own questions for the next edition of I'm in the Loop. To view all of our other interviews and programming, please visit www.speakingoftimmins.com. I'm Frank Rock, and this was I'm in the Loop.